What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Stocks with Mike and Tom show. In today's video, we're going to go over all the best plays for tomorrow and the important news that happened in the market today. We saw the S&P 500, the Dow, and the NASDAQ all break record highs today. The Dow broke 34,000 for the first time ever. We have some important news with Pfizer, some economic data overall, and Virgin Galactic. So make sure to stick around to the end of the video. And we're also going to be covering a $1.9 million options trade that expires tomorrow. So make sure you stick around. And Tom, let's get right into today's video.
Yeah, for sure. Like you said, the U.S. stocks climbed to record levels today, and we can see that the SPY hit 416.16 at the very end of the day, hitting an all-time high, which is just awesome to see out of the SPY. And it seemed like yesterday we had a big red day posted on the SPY, and it seemed like we were going to finally go down, but the market just continued to push up on fantastic retail sales. They surged 9.8% in March compared to a 6.1% estimate. So that's a pretty big jump there on the retail sales. And it really helped a whole bunch of stocks kind of go up today. But some stocks didn't do too well today, like NIO and some of the other EV stocks. They actually posted red days. I think Tesla even had a pretty bad. Oh, no, they actually recovered, but they were red initially in the morning.
Yeah, very interesting. So like you said, we did see a couple stocks really pull back. Some of them were the EV ones, like you just said. NIO pulled back pretty hard today. RIDE tanked about 10%. If we look at XPEV, down around 4.5%. And even LI, down around 7%. So, we're seeing like a weird divergence right now. Like you just said, we saw the markets at basically all-time highs today. In some of these tech stocks, or some of these EV stocks, I should say, that were flying a couple months ago are getting pretty close to like 6-month lows. So we're definitely seeing a lot of interesting movement in the market right now.
Yeah, definitely. And stocks like LI, like you said, they're around those lows and they're right now just now falling through supports. LI had that big support at 20 that has started to really fall through. So definitely watch out for these stocks.
For sure. And one thing I want to talk about with NIO specifically is, everyone always loves to buy into, hype stocks when they're running up and when they're at their highs. And if you were one of the people a couple months ago looking at NIO at $65 and saying, man, I wish I bought in at 30 or 25, like, keep in mind, a lot of stocks that everyone was really pumping a couple months ago are now really pulling back. So if you do like these companies for the long term, they can definitely be at some good levels to start averaging in. But what other major news happened today?
Yeah, the Pfizer CEO actually said that we might need to get a second dose of the coronavirus vaccine within 12 months. Actually a third dose, because with the Pfizer, I believe you actually have to go and get the shot twice. And whenever you go back for that second shot, now they're saying you're going to have a third one the next month. And he said it's also possible that you're going to have to get vaccinated annually, which will be a pretty big deal because Pfizer and some of these companies that sell these vaccines might make good money selling those vaccines every single year rather than just selling them this year or over the next couple years.
And then if we also look at like Moderna and Pfizer, like they're doing pretty good. Pfizer was up a little over 1% today, and Moderna has been doing very well over the past 2 weeks. Went from about 120 all the way up to 160. So they're definitely stocks to keep on your radar.
There was some big news with SPCE, and they're actually down 13% today, which is insane. Virgin Galactic, the big space stock everyone was talking about for a while, their CEO, Richard Branson, actually sold more than $150 million worth of the company's stock over the past 3 days, a filing said on Wednesday. And the shares were worth $150.3 million, and they sold at prices between $26.85 and $28.73. So now the stock is all the way down to 22 off of that news. That's pretty bad news for SPCE, and they're really starting to fall below those longer term trend lines and break support. So who knows how low this stock can go? It's very volatile, and they do have test flights coming up in May. So just watch out for that. They could possibly move back up in May, but in the shorter term, it's definitely not looking good.
Tom, this is your stock. What's going on? I mean, it's down 14% basically. Like, do you see any levels, or like, are you watching anything specifically? Do you still like this stock? What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, I personally don't even really like it anymore. I mean, I liked it whenever it had the hype and it was bouncing off supports and being pretty good. That then it was awesome. But right now, as it started to fall down from 62, it just has looked terrible on the way down, breaking these supports like we said, and it's just not a good thing to get in. And they have those test flights, and they had some problems with those other test flights, which made them kind of fall as well. And then also now he's selling some stock, which means he probably isn't too bullish on the company either, and he's the one who founded the company. So I would definitely take that into consideration and definitely be careful with this stock, guys. I know a lot of people might have been selling some puts or grabbing some shares on it around $25. So definitely be careful because it has a pretty negative sentiment. And whenever it comes to space stocks, there's a lot better stocks out there than this. Just keep in mind, this is more of a tourism stock than it is like a true space exploration stock or something like that.
Very interesting. Well, let's get right into our momentum plays in our member of the day. So today's member of the day has a little bit of an interesting Discord username, but he's a great member overall. He's super positive, and like I said, he's very active, and he's a great member, and that's Hillbilly. So huge shout out, Hillbilly. Thank you for being a great Discord member. Thank you for all of your activity and positivity. But with that being said, let's get right into the momentum plays for tomorrow. And with the first one, we have CRM, and it had a pretty solid day today.
Yeah, definitely. And they have a pretty good level up here around 233.50. So make them pass above that.
All right, with the next one, we have Microsoft to the upside.
Yep. With Microsoft, go ahead and make them break above 260, which would be a pretty good move for them.
All right, and then we have NVIDIA.
NVDA. This stock has been on the rise since that CPU announcement. Make them break above 649. And this stock has really been on fire. If we look at that daily chart, they're starting to really extend up above their highs.
All right, and then so basically we are eyeing all of these stocks for potential day trades tomorrow, only if they can break above the levels Tom listed. But now let's get right into the $1.9 million options trade for tomorrow. We are looking at the QS 35 strike put options that expire tomorrow, April 16th. So QS had just a horrible day, down around 12.5%. Like the chart looks horrible. They're breaking past support. It's just really not looking good. These puts are only about, you could say, like $1.50 out of the money. So I can definitely see them longing these puts, but it's definitely a very risky play considering that these options expire tomorrow. So Tom, do you have any thoughts on this one? I mean, the chart just looks terrible, and it's a very risky trade.
Yeah, once it broke below that support, I think that that's what really gave them the good indicator to get into this play. I would definitely be a little worried about it with how much it's popping up in after hours right now, but hopefully tomorrow this continues down after breaking that support, like we said. Definitely watch for it to move off of this $36 level. It's moved off of it a few times today, so definitely watch out for that. And if it starts coming back up tomorrow, watch out for a possible resistance around $40. I think that'll be a pretty key spot.
Sounds great. And now let's get right into our questions from the previous episode. With the first question, we have Jack Tastic saying, just asking about Intel. So, Tom, I know you were looking at this one a couple months ago. It kind of pulled back over the past week. It had resistance right around $68.50. It's coming right back down to that $64 support. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, it actually posted a pretty good green day today, and I thought it would keep going down with that Nvidia news that was pretty bad, but they did post like 4 red days in a row, so it might just be a little pop back up today. I'm personally still a little bit bearish on them right now. They double topped up here around that 68.50 mark, like you said. Plus, Nvidia came out with their own CPUs, which is going to put a lot of pressure on Intel now, and I would expect Intel to possibly come back down and maybe retest like the $60 support or maybe the 61 support over the next couple weeks or the next month or so. But for the longer term, I'm still bullish on any of the chip stocks like AMD, Nvidia, Intel. For the longer term, I think they're still going to be okay. But in the shorter term, with that news, they might take some heat until they come out with some CPUs of their own that might beat Nvidia's, or until they come up with some type of innovation.
Gotcha. And then they also have earnings next week too. So they're definitely in for a lot of volatility. With the next question, we have Jason saying, thanks guys, I watch every day. What are your thoughts on GEO? They cut their dividend and fell sharply. So if we take a look at this one, GEO, it's definitely not looking good. If I look at their max weekly chart, Yeah, it's pretty scary. They were doing pretty well back in like 2015, but they're definitely not looking good. And especially when a company cuts their dividend, it's almost never a good sign. For the most part. Personally, I don't like this one at all. I just don't like the setup at all.
Yeah, me either. And anytime you cut a dividend, that's bad. And like you said, the max weekly chart is just not looking good. So hopefully you didn't have this stock, but it's looking pretty bearish on the chart right now. And that gap down from 8 all the way down to $5 was pretty insane.
Yep. And then with the next question, we have Kay asking about Palantir. So obviously this one had a ton of hype this week, especially with demo day yesterday, and it fell again today. They're coming close to that like 21 level support, you can say, and it bounced off that like 3 or 4 times in the past. So definitely watch out for that. I like them for the long term. For the short term, I think the best way to go would to probably just scoop up shares or even cash secured puts. Obviously, I'm a huge fan of cash secured puts. I talk about them all the time. But yeah, I really like the Palantir for cash secured puts and just buying into shares. I think right now with the setup, it's not really worth buying calls or puts with just the way it's moving.
Yeah, definitely. And with some of these hype stocks, I'm actually happy to see that Palantir is actually staying up a little bit higher. Earlier we were just looking at QuantumScape and they had a setup very similar to this, but they actually broke their $20 support or whatever it was and ended up falling down pretty significantly. So it's nice to see that Palantir is actually holding their solid support levels like around $20 to $21.
All right, and then while we're on the topic of like Palantir and demo day, I know there was so much hype across so many different like platforms like Discord and Facebook and YouTube and StockTwits and everything about like demo day, and there's always a ton of hype when we see important events like demo day or like Tesla's battery day or earnings or whatever. I just want to point out that everyone loves to hype up certain events, but no one really loves to hype up these stocks when they pull back. And in reality, the best time to buy stocks for the long term is when they pull back. Like I know everyone was loving to hype up NIO when it went from $2 up to 65, right? But no one's really talking about it right now that it's pulling back 4% today, and it's coming down to that 35 level support. So I just want to point out and just emphasize that if you guys like some of these stocks for the long term, definitely look around. A lot of stocks that everyone was really hyping up a couple months ago are really pulling back, and you can get some pretty good deals.
Yeah, for sure. And just like that quote, just like Warren Buffett said, be fearful when others are greedy and be greedy when others are fearful. That's Warren Buffett's quote. And if you guys stick with that, it'll be pretty good for you in the longer term. And I think that with NIO, that's a pretty big statement right now. You need to be greedy whenever a lot of these other people now are being fearful.
All right, with the next question, we have Royal asking about our thoughts on QS. So, Tom, I know we made a video on them, like I want to say back in December or like early January maybe. And I don't think this company has like any sales or anything like that. It was purely running up just because of the sector it was in. So just with everything on this stock, I'm not a huge fan of it right now, especially with the way it looks on the chart. It looks definitely really dangerous. I'm trying to see like if there's any other major support levels. Like it looks like there's some support at like 30, but besides that, do you see anything else?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to see the supports below $40, but like you said, there's a pretty good one down there around 30. I would definitely watch somewhere between like $27 and $30 on the way down here. We are at 35.85 right now, so if it does continue down to something like 30 or 31, that would be a pretty good move.
Well, Tom, do you have any last minute stocks, options, or any insight for the market for tomorrow?
Yeah, I was really talking about GLD a while ago, and it had a really solid support around $157, and it's hit off of it multiple times in the past. And ever since we hit that twice over the past couple months, now we're starting to head back to the upside. And investing.com reports that gold jumps as the U.S. sanctions on Russia reintroduce a political hedge, and that's pretty big deal that we're starting to get back into things with Russia. And if we're starting to place sanctions on Russia, that's going to obviously affect gold. And it made gold really go up today, which was a pretty significant thing. So it definitely affected the stocks GLD as well as SLV. And I'm sure it affected all the other ETFs that follow gold and silver as well. But anything with Russia, like as we have sanctions on Russia, that's just a pretty bad thing to hear. And that's why gold kind of went up, because gold has always been that key catalyst, or that key commodity to grab whenever the market has a little bit of fear coming into it. And right now it was just a little bit of fear. So don't take this overly seriously. So don't think GLD is going to pop to 180 tomorrow or anything like that, but it might affect gold here over the next couple of weeks. If you got some calls and wanted to hold them, I think it would be a pretty solid play, especially with that double bottom off that support.
Sounds good. I was actually eyeing out GLD and SLV over the past couple weeks, so I'm glad you brought that up. They both look pretty good. They are coming pretty close to a resistance though, like right around like you could say like 166 on GLD. So just keep an eye on that. But besides that, thank you guys so much for watching today's video. If you want to trade with Tom and I every single day, day trades, swing trades, and access to our bots, you can click the first link in the description down below for about $40 off. And also don't forget to subscribe to our new channel, Stocked Up Live. We're going to be doing some live streaming very, very soon. The link is also in the description down below. If you have any questions, let us know in the comments down below. But other than that, thanks for watching.